Hello from Enlarged Church Growth Ministries. First of all, I want to say to all the pastors and ministers and churches out there, what a wonderful job everyone is doing to continue spreading the gospel during this pandemic. This has been unusual, and many of us have had to step out of our comfort zone, learn to do new things, minister in ways that we're not used to, and so it's been very refreshing to see the body of Christ step up and do a fantastic job during all of this chaos. I want to talk today for a few minutes about how we can prepare our churches and our ministries when we go back to having church. Now, obviously, all of us have had a lot of desire to be with one another, to go back to church and just hug everybody and have church like we always have. But unfortunately, that may not be a reality for a little while. Even when we all can get back together, there will probably be some government or health restrictions. And so we need to start looking at those things right now and planning what we're going to do to address those issues. So today I want to talk about a few of those things. First of all, I want to mention that even when we're all back together, it is very highly likely that our attendance will be affected for some time, even if the government does not mandate that. For instance, there may be elderly people in our churches who are just a little bit hesitant to be around big crowds right away. There may be people who are high risk as far as their health is concerned, and so they may be a little slower to return to our worship services. And then the general public, there may be people in the general public that are just a little bit cautious about getting together in a crowd. So churches should consider trying to put together a plan that will enable us to continue to minister to those members that don't come back right away, so that those members are still receiving contact from us, still receiving pastoral care, even though they are slow to return to worship. Another thing I wanted to mention is something that we can begin to think about now, and that is cleaning the building, the church building. And I know these are very practical things, but these are things we have to consider if we want people to feel comfortable coming back to our churches. If the public knows that we are doing everything that we can to avoid spreading germs, that will help ease their concerns for when they desire to come back to service. In Louisiana, we're not yet allowed to meet together for worship services. But until that can be done, there are some things we can do to prepare our building. We can begin wiping down all of our surfaces. We can disinfect chairs and pews. We can have the carpets cleaned. When we do those things, that gives some peace and some comfort to the people who do want to return to worship services when they're available. And then once we're back together again, sanitizing the building regularly and communicating that schedule of sanitation to the members. Post signs if you need to. Send out an email that says this is what we're doing to keep our building clean and safe, because this will help people want to return. So don't hesitate to let people know what you're doing for their safety. It will keep them calm. A third thing I wanted to mention is we might have to start thinking about a different way to collect tithes and offerings. That traditional method of passing the offering plate or the offering basket might make our congregation a little bit uncomfortable for a while. I mean, think about it. They may be reluctant to touch that basket or that plate that everyone else has touched. So if you didn't have it available before, and you have started online and digital giving during this process, go ahead and keep that even once we're back together. Consider alternate methods of on-site giving that do not require everyone touching the plate or the basket. Maybe a basket or a box or several of them positioned somewhere in your building so that people feel comfortable giving without having to touch the plate or the basket. The last topic I wanted to cover today is your first impressions team. Ushers, hostesses, parking lot team, greeters, welcome center staff. Does their ministry description need to be modified for the foreseeable future? If you have to wear gloves or masks, do you have those on hand? if you're not required to wear gloves or masks, do you want to do that anyway just to make people feel comfortable when they come in? Will that ministry be a no contact ministry for a little while? No shaking hands, no hugging for a while. How far apart do you stand? This might be a good time to begin to think about that and put those measures in place. It might also be a good time to have every ministry leader in your church look through the procedures and the responsibilities and the processes for their ministry so that they can begin to think about, is something going to change, or does something need to change when we all get back together in our worship services? So just a few things to think about. We may do another one of these, and we still need to talk about children's events. How are you going? If you have a coffee station or a coffee shop in your church, does the budget need to be adjusted because there were a few months of maybe some reduced giving? All kinds of things like that. There are many things that we can do to prepare our churches, to prepare our ministries, so that people feel comfortable returning to our worship services when we're given the all clear. And as always, if you would like to contact us, go to our website, enlargeministries.com, send us an email, or follow us on social media, send us a message or comment on one of our posts. We'd love to hear from you. We are all in this together. Lord bless you.